Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the marketing principles. The one I'm going to cover today is called the 8 closing signals, right? So one thing you have to know, customers are really bad at saying yes, and they're really good at saying no. Right? So since they're bad at saying yes, there has to be other things throughout the process that let me know when it's time to continue or lets me know when a customer is interested or not, right? So how I look at this, there's 8 different things that I'm looking for throughout the duration of the pitch, and that's throughout the entire 5 steps. It might not necessarily pop up in the intro or the short story, but through the presentation, the close, whatever it is, I'm looking for these signals, right? So here are the signals. The first one is, in no particular order, of course, but I want or I need. So if a customer says, I want whatever I'm offering, let's say I'm going to pretend, we're talking to T-Mobile customers, right? If the customer says, I want faster service, or I want newer technology or whatever it is, that's an easy end. Because that's the easiest one, that's probably one you hear the least, right? So rarely will you hear people say, oh, I want this or I need this, but you'll hear it every now and again. And then the next one's how much. So if I'm going through something and a customer is asking how much, people are not going to ask how much for something that they have no interest in. So at least they might have a little inkling of interest. So I'm going to see that as a closing signal so I can, kind of go to the next step, right? The next thing on here is silence. This is the one people always confuse because it's really hard to interpret silence sometimes. But the way I interpret silence is if someone is not speaking, they're listening, right? So people are really good at saying, hey, I'm not interested. So if they weren't interested, they would say that. But the fact that they're listening to me go over what I need, that means they're interested, right? The next one's body language. So I'm watching people's body language, right? There's positive body language. If someone's like this, that means they're completely uninterested in what I'm saying, or their hands are in their pockets, they're not interested in what I'm saying. But if they're leaning over, looking at my tablet or looking at whatever presentation I'm doing, that person is probably interested because they wouldn't do that if they weren't. All right. The next part is courtesy offer. Right, people do nice things generally for people that they like, right? Don't get me wrong, there are people out there that do nice things for just anyone, but most people, if they like you, they'll probably offer you something. Hey, would you like, a cup of water? Would you like something here? Like sometimes we, when it comes to business, we will go to certain stores and they'll say, hey, would you like a snack or whatever it is? They'll offer you things like that. When people do that, that is a good sign that they like you. The next one is competition bashing, right? I think this one gets confusing a lot. You as the sales agent never want to bash the competition. That's a sleazy sales tactic. It'll be like, hey, whatever you have is terrible. Whatever I have is good. That's never a good thing. So what you do, what you're looking for is the person's bashing their own service provider. They're like, hey, I have this, but it's terrible. I have this, but it's not good. It sucks right now. Whatever it is, those are things that lets you know if I'm letting you know what I have something, but it's not good. That's me indirectly saying I would like something better, right? And that's kind of why you're there, to be able to offer them better. The next one is deeper questions. People don't ask questions about things they have no interest in. If someone's asking me, right? Let's go to telecom, and they're saying, why is your device better? Why am I going to be able to get better speeds? Or why is this cell phone service going to be better with you guys versus the current person that I'm with? That's my invite to let them know a little bit more about why, right? But that person is interested now. And then the next part is future talk. So when people say, obviously a lot of companies offer different types of promotions, but one of the clients that we work with now, T-Mobile, they have no contract. So when people say, okay, what happens in a couple of years, right? People do have a setup fee. So what I tell them is how when you sign up with Comcast, your service after 2 years, it went up. With us is the complete opposite. It's going to go down. And the reason I can confidently say that is because they have a setup fee of $10 extra per month on their bill. After 2 years, that setup fee goes away. So which means their bill is going to go down by $10, right? So that's an exciting thing to let the customers know. Now, once I see any of these closing signals, I'm not waiting to see a bunch of them. There's no rules on seeing 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I'm looking to see one of the closing signal. As long as it's a strong enough signal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop pitching, right? The whole goal of pitching is to get someone interested in what you're talking about. So if that person is already interested, there's no reason to keep pitching. So I'm going to stop pitching. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer questions. So as you see here, some of the closing signals are questions. Like when people ask how much, or they ask deeper questions, or future talk, like what happens in 2 years or 3 years and things like that. These are things that I definitely want to answer the questions, right? But I want to stop pitching. Then I answer the questions. And then after you answer all questions, you want to close with action, right? Now, what does closing with action mean? Is I want to take some kind of an action, whether it's a verbal or physical action, to let people know or let the customer know that whatever we're doing is happening today. right? So for example, I'm taking out my tablet and start filling that out, or I take out a piece of paper and start writing some information down. Anything to let them know that the process is happening now. I'm just not there dropping off information and then leaving kind of thing, but I want to close with action. And then the last part, this part is really important, is I want to shut up about the client. I know sometimes people say stop talking about the client, but I say shut up about the client. I want to make it more aggressive, because sometimes people keep talking and keep talking and keep talking, and you're going to lose people, right? No one likes a circular talker. You're just talking in circles. At that point, you're going to lose them. So once I close with action, I'm going to stop talking about the client, right? But also I'm going to subject change. I'm talking back about them again. I've already told them about whatever client I'm talking about. They're interested in the client, and I'm going to go right back to subject changing and talking about them. By the way, how long have you been here? Or this, or whatever topic I was on before I got to this point, I'm going to resume that and start talking about it again. But I definitely want to make sure I follow those, right? So the rule is I'm not going to wait for all of these closing signals to appear in order for me to make my decision, right? I'm going to get really good at watching and looking out for these closing signals. Once I see them, I'm going to stop pitching. I'm going to answer all of the customer's questions. I never leave any questions unanswered, because that can lead to bad quality down the line. And I'm going to close with action. I'm going to take some kind of verbal or physical action to let them know it's happening now. Most people say, I just got to make sure you qualify. That's one of their things, depending on what client you're on. And then the next part is I'm going to shut up about the client. No need to keep talking about a client after they're already interested. I'm going to talk about them now, which is the subject change part as well. But as long as you do this, you get really good at reading closing signal over time, and then your closing percentage will get better and better. All right, I'll see you in the next video.